Hey, welcome. I hope everyone is having the most excellent day. Now let's go and see if any of these clips will shatter our view on reality.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
Have you ever been in a state like that when trying to sleep? I know I have, but it had nothing to do with aliens.
After Oprah jokingly said that she was taking on the challenge in the name of ALS and the Ice Bucket Challenge and not in the name of Jesus, Owens wrote she realised the awful truth. Oprah mistakenly believes the one true God is jealous of her and basically considers herself to be a god. I found this statement to be very cultic in nature. She's a leader.
Well, I mean, Oprah Winfrey, there's like we said about her.
There's been rumours about Oprah being in the Illuminati for many years, haven't there? That's she's always one of those people that people say, oh, she's one of them. She's in the.
Well, she would have to be if Oprah's not in the Illuminati. And then what's the point of the Illuminati?
Yeah, it's world leaders and people with massive amounts of influence, and she's up there, isn't she?
You saying that's the only reason she's able to put stuff under people's chairs because of the Illuminati?
I am now. Yeah,
you're thinking of the right lines.
Alright, so Oprah, the Illuminati, and the Ice Bucket Challenge. It's insane how these things just come together, you know? Now this whole idea that Oprah might see herself as a god, that's pretty damn heavy, right? And it makes you wonder, is there anything deeper going on here? I mean, rumors about Oprah and the Illuminati have been around for years, right? But if she isn't in it, then who is? It kind of feels like the boxes are all being checked here. Power, influence, mysterious moves, and then again, are we just looking for patterns that aren't really there? Let me know what you guys think. Illuminati or just another wild conspiracy?
I think a lot of us ask the same question. Why are we here? What is the point of our existence? Check this out.
Why do you exist? Out of all the possibilities in the universe, here you are, alive, conscious, and thinking. Science may tell us how your body functions, but it can't touch the deeper question of why you're here. The universe operates with precise order. Gravity, time, even the rhythm of your heartbeat, all perfectly aligned. So why are you, a conscious being, part of this intricate system? What's the meaning behind your thoughts, emotions, and life? If everything in the universe is so intentional, could your existence be part of a greater plan? What if you're not here by chance, but with a purpose woven into the very fabric of creation? That purpose leads you back to God, the one who created you and knows exactly why you're here. He's waiting for you.
Okay, so diving deeper into this, there's a Princeton study that could actually add some weight to this whole idea. The Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab ran experiments for over 30 years that explored the connection between consciousness and the physical world. They found some crazy results which suggested that human intention could influence random events, like random number generators. Basically, they discovered that our minds might have the power to impact the world around us, which could mean that consciousness isn't just an accident of biology, but part of a deeper connection to the universe. If everything is interconnected, does it mean that there's something bigger going on here, perhaps behind our existence? Are we here for a reason beyond just the physical world? This kind of research makes you wonder if consciousness can interact with the universe on such a subtle level. Is there a design or plan that we're all part of? Something to think about, right? Let me know your thoughts below. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Make sure you stick around until the end. I promise you won't want to miss the deep dive into the prophecy of the popes. And if you enjoy what you see, don't forget to give us a like and hit that subscribe button for more awesome content coming your way. Now let's crack on.
They get an assignment not long after there's a medical emergency. They are now under the gun, the clock is ticking, and a decision was made. They're going through the no-fly zone because it's a medical emergency. And what do they see? In the ice, like a huge entrance to a cave but slanted going down. And he said, I think it was at least, Linda, 200 feet in diameter, a big hole in the ice. And he said, our instruments are not operating. We were losing electricity. We had magnetic anomalies. And we concluded there's something about this hole that is now causing these problems. They do their medical recovery, and the next thing they know, they're all being chewed out by men in suits that are not from McMurdo. They appear to be from Washington, D.C.
That was a totally bizarre story, right? But let's just take a step back and think about it for a second. Could that huge entrance in the ice just be a natural formation? Antarctica is full of massive crevices and caves. The magnetic anomalies and instrument failures could also be explained by geomagnetic activity. Antarctica's magnetic fields are known to mess with, a lot of scientific equipment. But then again, it's strange how the men in suits from DC just show up like that. Why would they be so quick to intervene? There is a similar story from 1947, which did involve Admiral Richard Byrd, who led an expedition in Antarctica and allegedly encountered strange phenomena, including mysterious aircraft and an underground civilization. While that's never been officially confirmed, it keeps popping up in these kinds of conversations. Could there really be something beneath the ice and we're not being told about it? Or is this just another case of our imaginations running wild in an already isolated, mysterious place? What do you guys think? In truth, or just a string of coincidences?
If you were hypothetically able to hop into a time machine, travel to Madagascar over 1,000 years ago, this is a creature you would run into. And even though these artists' illustrations seem kind of unbelievable, this was 100% walking around at that time in Madagascar. However, I will say this type of thing happening is probably a little bit unrealistic. These birds were specifically known as elephant birds, and this is for a very good reason. They are absolutely massive, the biggest bird ever in existence. And if you didn't believe me, here is a comparison between an average-sized human versus one of these elephant birds. They would typically grow up to heights of around 9 feet and weigh around 1,000 pounds. So 1v1 human versus them, you're not winning. And for even more of a comparison, this is what an elephant bird's egg looks like versus an ostrich egg. They did go extinct though, and this is thought to be because of human interaction from people stealing their eggs. So obviously there's no offspring. They also mainly ate fruit and not people, despite what this photo makes it look like.
It's totally insane to think that just by taking eggs, humans might have wiped out a creature as massive as the elephant bird, a 9-foot tall 1,000-pound bird brought down by simple human interference. It's kind of sad, isn't it? This kind of thing really makes you wonder about the long-term effects we've had on nature. And it's not just the elephant bird either. Humanity's actions have led to the extinction of countless species over time. The idea that something as small as just taking eggs could have had such a massive impact shows how delicate ecosystems can be. What other species have we unknowingly wiped out through similar behaviors? More importantly, what does that mean for the animals we share the planet with today? It does make you think about our responsibility to protect what's left.
Earth, the planet we live on, is about to have 2 moons starting September 29th. Woohoo! Let me explain this to you. So an asteroid that's heading towards Earth is going to get stuck in orbit around the Earth for about 2 months. So technically, this asteroid will be a second moon, but it ain't gonna look like that. Because this asteroid, or second moon, is about the size of a bus. And from what scientists are saying, it's considered a mini moon. It's actually considered a second moon, but a mini version. Kind of like a Happy Meal for little kids, where they get stuck with the apples instead of the French fries. Yeah, so this is about to happen. Sure is. And how will that affect me? I don't know. But I am personally curious to see if it affects the full moons. Because as some of you know, when the full moon comes out, I get a little sketchy. So tell me, what do you think of this second moon scenario? The 2 months of the 2 moons? Let me know in the comment section, Booskies.
Okay, right, hear me out on this one, but what if this isn't just a coincidence? Throughout history, celestial events have sparked conspiracy theories. Think about the Tunguska event in 1908, which was an unexplained explosion in Siberia linked to a meteorite, which led to all sorts of speculation about secret government experiments or even alien technology. Could this mini-moon be more than just an asteroid? Some people suggest it might be a sign of something greater at play, like a test of humanity's response to cosmic changes. What if it's a precursor to a much larger event? You gotta remember that throughout history, significant changes in the night sky have often been tied to shifts in human consciousness or global events. Are we ready for whatever this new moon might bring? What do you think? Is there more to this than meets the eye?
And they're the generals of doing that. Baal, Moloch, Belial, Moloch, particularly.
Why particularly?
Why particularly Moloch?
Yeah.
I don't like saying his name.
All right.
Yeah. Why particularly him? Because he's third in command of that, of Galatia.
Can you describe their domains?
Where do they come from?
Yes.
they come from the lower vibrational spiral, but they get pulled up because if you say, can you give me a 50-year life, which is nothing, a 50-year life of cars and women and this, I'll give this to you, then that's who they are.
What's the bargain usually involving?
That you have to come back again. All they want you to do is loop. All they want you to do is loop.
The notion that people might bargain for a life filled with material wealth and experiences but at the cost of being trapped in a cycle is pretty thought-provoking. It raises the question, are we sacrificing our true purpose for fleeting pleasures? The mention of lower vibrational spirals paints a pretty damn vivid picture of how some might feel stuck in a negative cycle, pulled down by these desires. It's interesting to think about how many individuals might feel like they're looping through life, chasing after the next big thing but never really finding fulfillment. This also echoes a lot of historical and modern narratives around power, greed, and the consequences of our choices. Just look at how many people have pursued wealth and fame only to find themselves feeling empty afterward. What if instead of chasing after these deals, we focused on more meaningful connections and experiences? That might just break the cycle. What do you think? Are we all just looping? Or is there a way out?
You want to hear the story about these divers that got stuck in a pipe?
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
So these divers, they work on this oil rig. They went down to work on it because it had damage. And when they undid the lid, the pipe sucked all 4 of them in. And they went through this whole tunnel of pipe that was just wide enough for their body. And they got stuck in the one part, pitch black. One dude had a broken leg. 2 of them still had their tanks. And so the pipe was only wide enough for one person to crawl through at a time. So the front guy, they decided that he was going to have to be the only one that went. And so he went barely crawling. His tank started running low. And so he started kind of losing consciousness. I mean, it was hours. And hit the wall to where it goes up. And then saw a light, went up, and there was a crew member there. And he woke up in the hospital a day later.
Golly.
But then they sent divers down there. They knocked on the pipe, and then they heard all of them. They were alive for 3 days, but the oil company decided not to save them because of the damage it would do to the pipe of the oil pipe.
And they died.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
But the one guy lived.
That's so...
What a journey.
Why are you telling us this?
Hey, you guys were all into it, right?
Oh heck, that story was intense, right? It really puts you in the dark, claustrophobic moment where, hope is hanging by a thread. What's even more chilling is how the oil company decided not to rescue them just due to the potential damage to their pipeline. It really raises questions about corporate ethics and what we prioritize in life and death situations. Problem is, this isn't even just a one-off incident either, because in 1983, a similar situation happened when a group of workers got trapped in a flooded coal mine in Kentucky. And they were also left to fight for their lives while rescue efforts were stalled due to safety concerns for the rescuers. Both those stories really make you wonder, how often do we prioritize profits over human lives? And what about the psychological impact on those people which are left behind? How do they cope knowing that their lives were seen as expendable? What do you think? Is this a reflection of a larger systemic issue in industries where profit often outweighs human compassion?
Yo, I got some crazy freaking news to share with you. I'm not one of the breaking news type people, but there's stuff going on. I honestly don't know what's crazier, so we're gonna start over here first. Come back to this. This is freaking insane. Congressman Matt Gaetz came out saying that DHS told Congress that there are allegedly 5 assassination teams looking for Trump, going for Trump all at the same time. TikTok, I'm not saying this. Members of our U.S. Congress are saying this.
And I'll break a little news for you. I had a senior official from the Department of Homeland Security in my office before the second assassination attempt saying that what he has assessed is that there are 5 known assassination teams in the United States. 3 inspired by other governments, 2 that are here that are known domestic assassination teams. And
y'all, that's literally a bombshell. You know, a lot of prominent figures like Tucker Carlson have came out alleging certain things around this narrative. We also know that the Senate drafted and passed the bill to provide extra protection for ex-presidents, or the House. But you heard what he said, right? And again, TikTok, it's not me, it's a member of the U.S. Congress that passed laws. He said it. 3 different governments, different countries. 2024 is not holding back, and November is kind of looking very startling. And what people are saying on the ground, I can't tell you here, is even crazier. And allegedly, we don't know for sure, allegedly, maybe, Israel dropped a nuclear warhead on Lebanon. We'll have to wait for details on that to confirm it, but listen to the aftershock. And what you just saw was after over 1,000 members of Hezbollah passed away. They were unalive by the pagers and every other kind of electronic in the world. That's them addressing it right there. In other news, people are freaking triggered on social media by this amateur photographer that sent up a high altitude balloon to about 120,000 foot and just showcased the Earth. Triggered. I can see that. What do y'all think? This triggering y'all? Let me know what you think in the comments.
This is absolutely insane. The news about the assassination teams targeting Trump raises some serious eyebrows. It sounds like something straight out of a political thriller, doesn't it? If this is true, it paints a pretty disturbing picture of the lengths that some might go to in this political game. It makes you wonder about the broader implications for democracy and the safety of public figures in such a polarized environment. Now, linking this to the allegations about Israel possibly dropping a nuclear warhead on Lebanon, that's even more chilling. It really conjures memories of conflicts that spiraled out of control in the past. The way modern conflicts escalate often echoes the narratives we see in conspiracy theories, like the idea of false flags or covert operations that can trigger large wars. It's almost as if we're walking a tightrope and one misstep could lead to chaos. And let's not overlook the high altitude balloon capturing the Earth's image, triggering people. It's a fascinating juxtaposition to the chaos we're discussing. This might just seem innocuous, but it taps into the growing distrust in media and information. People are on edge, trying to decipher truth from manipulation. However, the skeptic in me says that it could be that the dramatic claims about assassination attempts and nuclear threats are just sensationalism designed to keep us glued to our screens. The media does thrive on conflict and fear, and there's a chance that not everything is as dire as it seems, and some narratives may be exaggerated to drive engagement. So where do we draw the line here? Are these events interconnected, or are they just isolated incidents? Is our reaction to them driven by genuine concern or fear-mongering? Let's unpack this together, because I want to know what you think is really happening behind the headlines.
You know, I'm watching all these debates take place in depth about gravity and celestial navigation and prediction of eclipses. And I'm sitting here thinking globe proponents act as if they've made it past level 1. The curvature of the Earth. Why are you debating in-depth topics? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone when you can't even explain why there's no curve. You talk about, oh, the heliocentric model can make predictions accurately. Well, the globe has a prediction also, and that's that the horizon is 3 miles away from a 6-foot observer's height. Looking out. Bam. Okay, well that prediction's wrong, because we can set a camera 1 foot above the water and see a boat 10 miles out over the ocean, and see a horizon far beyond that boat. The supposed radius value is debunked, my friend. Now, hold them to it. Why are you allowing them to blow past the demonstrable reality that we observe, crushing their globe, and let them debate these in-depth topics that we're not even close to being there yet? And when we do get there, we should go there unified with the same understanding that the radius value has been debunked. It's gone. The Earth is demonstrably flat, and anyone can demonstrate that to themselves through observation and physical experimentation. And to add insult to injury, you talk about the heliocentric model making all these predictions only can be made from the heliocentric perspective. Do you realize that the luminaries above are cyclical, and we've collected the data by observing the celestial bodies do their cycles? And all of that data was collected from a geocentric perspective. We observed these from the ground, geocentrically, meaning here we are on the Earth watching things move around us, and we collected that data, and now we have what you all call the heliocentric model, when it was just mathematically created from a geocentric reference point, the data. Wild, huh?
Okay, so one thing with these folks claiming the Earth is flat or that its curvature does not exist is that they often point to the fact that you can see a boat 10 miles out at sea, which they say proves the Earth is flat. But here's the thing, the phenomenon is actually explained by the way light bends, and it's called atmospheric refraction. This bending can actually make distant objects appear higher than they really are, so it doesn't really debunk the globe model. And now we got to talk about the idea that the Earth could be way bigger than we think. Some people speculate that the Earth is indeed much larger, and maybe the curvature that we expect to see is just so gradual that we wouldn't notice it in our everyday observations. And this could explain why some people argue that they don't see any curve. If the Earth's radius were significantly larger, the curve would be less noticeable at ground level. Plus, there are maps like the azimuthal equidistant projection that depict a flat Earth but can also be interpreted as showing a much larger surface area. This model does suggest that there could be lands beyond what we currently know. Think about how many uncharted territories there are. So while the flat Earth claims seem to contradict established science, the idea of a vastly larger Earth opens up some interesting conversations about exploration and what might still be out there. What do you think? Could there be more to the world than meets the eye?
So has the current Pope always known he was going to be the last one before the world ends? Has the Vatican archives revealed a book that has successfully predicted every Pope for the last 900 years, and it also tells us exactly when the world will end too. The Prophecy of the Popes was found in the Vatican archives in 1590 by Benedictine monk Arnold Villon, which contains the prophetic text of St. Malachi of Armagh, a 12th century archbishop from Ireland, written during his time in 1139. It contains the Pope list, a series of 111 short cryptic phrases written in Latin that characterize every pope that came to be, starting with Celestine II in 1143, all the way up to our current Pope Francis, along with a 112th entry that describes the end of the world and approximately when it'll happen. Story goes, in 1139, St. Malachi went on a pilgrimage from Ireland to Rome to see the Pope, when he claims to have been struck by a revelation from God and fell into a trance all night while speaking Latin phrases. He reported his visions to Pope Innocent II, but the document remained unknown in the Vatican archives until its discovery in 1590, a whole 450 years later. But now, the real disturbing part is this list only had 111 Pope predictions, with 112th passage that described the Pope during the end of times. Pope Francis is number 112. After which, the list ends with, in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will reign Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. The end. Judgment Day and the fall of Rome, perfectly lined up with Pope Francis. If that wasn't enough, inside St. Paul's Basilica in Rome, there's a series of portraits of all popes that line the walls from the first, St. Peter, to Francis. These portraits wind their way around the entire cathedral with designated plaques left behind for every future pope to be put on. And there's only one spot left after Francis, which, according to a centuries-old local legend, once that last spot is filled, the end of times will be upon us. Now I hear what you're saying. If there's one spot after Francis, doesn't that mean there's still one more pope left and this prediction is slightly off? Turns out there might be a lost prophecy in the pope list that got forgotten in time and not many people know about. Now, to be fair, these 112 predictions are pretty vague, and some of them are very loosely connected to their related popes. For example, the late Pope John Paul II was called De Labora Solis, which means the sun's labor through eclipse. JP2 was both born on a total eclipse, and his funeral was also held on a solar eclipse. The one about Pope Urban VIII was Lilium et Rosa, the lily and the rose. He was a native of Florence, and the arms of Florence feature a fleur-de-lis. Peregrinus Apostolicus designates Pius V, meaning pilgrim pope, which appears to be verified by his many journeys to new lands. Before him, no pope had left Italy for centuries. Pope Clement XIV was Urus Elox, meaning the swift bear, who had a racing bear as his family symbol. The other late Pope Benedict XVI, the prophecy says of him, Gloria Olivae, the glory of the olive. The order of Saint Benedict is also known as the Olivitans. Pretty loosely connected if you ask me, and it could very well be a case of backwards rationalization happening here, forcing the phrase to fit the Pope by any means necessary. Or maybe the cardinals in charge of choosing the Pope are somewhat influenced by this Pope list and end up gravitating towards someone that will fulfill the cryptic words. But that still wouldn't explain the first couple dozen popes that matched, as this list was written in 1139 but wasn't made known until 1590, 450 years later, during which time 40 popes reigned, and these predictions match pretty accurately to each of them. The very first phrase of the list, Excaphthro Tiberis, from the castle of the Tiber. The first pope in the list was born in the castle town of Tifernum, similar to Tiber. Second phrase, Inimicus Expulfus, the hunted enemy, refers to Pope Lucius II, who was driven out of Rome by the Senate. Third phrase, Ex Magnitudine Monto, from Monte Magno, refers to Eugene III, and Monte Magno was literally his last name. Even if the predictions are loosely connected or backwards rationalized, getting 40 in a row correct is an impressive statistical anomaly if they really are just coincidences, let alone the 112 of the full list. But some religious scholars claim it was actually originally written in the 1500s, not by Saint Malachi or even the guy who found the list, but rather by a certain someone named Michel de Nostradam, aka Nostradamus, which, if you haven't heard, was a French astrologer who's been largely attributed to predicting many world events in his book Les Prophéties from 1555, who happened to be alive just a few years before the Pope list was found and is sure no stranger to prophecies that have come true. On record, the Catholic Church neither publicly confirms nor denies this prophecy of the popes, and they're pretty quick to discredit anything they don't like they did with the Da Vinci Code. And they even just recently updated their guidelines on the supernatural in May 2024, affirming that only a pope can formally deem something to be supernatural, along with a whole bunch of other criteria on its formal definition and how to deal with it. Almost like they're preparing for something to happen. Now, what about that lost prophecy? Oral tradition claim rumors of an additional phrase on this list right before the apocalypse, Caput Nigrum, which, relax, is Latin for black leader. The Black Pope is a term used to refer to the superior general of the Society of Jesus, the head of the Jesuit order. Pope Francis happens to be the first Jesuit pope in history. Is he the Black Pope that comes right before Peter the Roman, as per the prophecy? But the big question here, when is this supposed apocalypse supposed to start? In the list, the pope that marks the middle of the prophecy is Pope Sixtus V in 1585, exactly 442 years after the first pope in the prophecy came to be in 1143. According to it, if this really is the middle, that would make another 442 years after Pope Sixtus until the final pope is revealed and the end of the world is upon us. 442 years after 1585 is 2027, the beginning of the end. Nice. And this year, 2027, is a hot one, with many end of times rumors surrounding it. It's the next 2012. You guys remember Javier, aka Unico Sobreviviente, who claims to be stuck in an alternate dimension with no humans around? Kinda looks like post-rapture to me, and he happens to be stuck in the year 2027. This guy, Daryl Anka, an international medium who claims to have made 4-dimensional contact with an extraterrestrial entity called Bashar, says that Bashar told him we will make direct contact with alien UFOs in 2027, back in 1998. Oh, but he's just a crazy schizophrenic cult leader. Don't listen to him, right? In that case, here's ex-CIA officer John Ramirez claiming to have trusted official sources that state alien contact will be made public in that exact same year.
And I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity I can't reveal. So I think I would say that people in the government are aware of something happening and that there's limited time, few more years to prepare the people, and that's what's ramping up.
Are these the aliens that start our predicted demise? More recently, this leaked document from an ex-OpenAI employee, ChatGPT, says that we will achieve AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, which is basically the point of no return, when AI learns to teach itself faster than we are able to teach it, or even ourselves, also known as the singularity, by 2027. If the aliens don't get us, maybe AI will. Watch out, world. We've got another 2012 to survive. Let's see how this one turns out.
The whole prophecy about the popes attributed to Saint Malachi really makes you think about how we interpret history. It claims to describe 112 popes, but honestly, the language is so vague that it could probably fit multiple people over the centuries. This feels like classic confirmation bias, people twisting ambiguous predictions to match whatever happens. Take the phrases linked to each pope. They often sound like they could apply to a bunch of different contexts. Sure, they seem to resonate after the fact, but you'd expect something a bit more precise from a true prophecy, right? The idea of a lost prophecy that mentions a black pope adds an intriguing twist, especially given our anxieties about leadership. The term typically refers to the superior general of the Jesuits, who's seen as a powerful figure in the Catholic Church. But let's be real here, this term comes with a lot of myths, and the actual role of the Jesuits today is way more complex than conspiracy theories suggest. Then there's the prediction that 2027 could be a game changer. It ties together apocalyptic prophecies, possible alien contact, and the rise of AI. But we need to hit pause on the panic about AI. Experts like Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk have warned against overreacting. AI development is monitored, and while breakthroughs are coming, the timelines we hear often get exaggerated. Historically, Prophetic narratives pop up during times of social turmoil. Think about the fears during the Black Death or the Cold War. They say more about our psychology than actual future events, and the Catholic Church has faced many crises and changes, from the Reformation to Vatican II. These contexts might explain why we cling to prophetic beliefs today. They're a way to cope with uncertainty. So while the prophecy of the popes and concerns about figures like Pope Francis are intriguing, they also deserve a skeptical lens. Are we projecting our fears onto these narratives? Instead of fixating on doomsday timelines, let's tackle real issues like social inequality, climate change, and tech advancements. In the end, engaging with these prophecies is fun, but we should keep our feet on the ground. What do you think? Are we looking for answers in prophecies when we should be focusing on actionable solutions? The prophecy of the popes reflects our collective anxieties and the search for meaning in uncertain times. While they are captivating, we need to approach them with a critical eye and recognize our tendency to find patterns where there might not be any. Instead of fixating on apocalyptic predictions like those tied to 2027, let's direct our energy towards addressing real-world challenges. After all, our actions today will shape our future. What do you think is the best way to navigate this uncertainty? Thanks for sticking about until the end of the video. I hope that you have enjoyed the clips. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe as I post every single day, and it goes a long way to help the channel grow. But for now, stay well, stay safe, and stay curious. Until next time.